Okay, here we go. OpenGL, GLSL, Episode 7. Changes since last time here. I have added another shader. So of course we got our main one right here, the cursor shader. I made a few changes to the cursor shader. It now has two radiuses. That way you can get two colors on the cursor and it's easier to see on any background. And we added a new shader, which I'm using the same vertex shader, but I'm using another fragment. So that's the thing I'm going to show you is how to start layering these and get the effects that you want. And we're just going to keep opening up the realm of shader possibilities one episode at a time. We are going to be looking at a source to pull from because I can teach you how to, let's see, I can show you the code and you'll code for a day, or I can teach you how to copy pasta code and you can join the rest of us and copy pasta. One thing you need to know when you're looking at examples is how to adapt it to your code, because for example, the very popular website, the Book of Shaders, which has a lot of great examples, but if you just copy paste stuff in, it's not going to work because there's going to be little random errors. And I'm just going to show you how to sort those all out and start layering these if you want and apply any of these examples that you want. And if you understand all this, you'll be able to basically make shaders and layer them in any style you can possibly imagine. Well, we could do any of these. This one, which has this chunk of code. So if I go to my program and run it, you'll see I've got my new cursor, which now checks two radiuses so I can get a black and white dot. That way you can see it on either, because if it was white you couldn't see it over here, if it was dark you couldn't see it over here. So something like this might be better. So as you can see, we've implemented their little algorithm and it works fine, but it didn't just work out of the box. So first of all, I went ahead and added that second shader, and the only thing we really need to know is the resolution, so we're going to set that. We're going to use the same draw strip, same draw details. We're going to use the same square, because why upload more? We already have what we need. But we just need to adjust all the shader and set it to use the right one before drawing. You go in draw order. The last thing you draw is on top. Alright, so you want to use the shader you want to draw to, and then just draw. So you want to have all your variables set before this draw, because this draw essentially, just draws that square and on whatever shader it happens to be on. But this isn't touching the shader. We have to do all that ahead of time. We have some of the things in the callbacks. The main thing we need to do is make sure we hit use. That way it's using the right one. So it'll draw, and then the last thing we want to do is draw the cursor, because we want it to be on the very top so we can always see it. So there's the cursor that I'm using. The only thing it needs is mouse pause. We're going to keep these super clean. So in the smooth frag shader, this is my test one, and we do get those results. But as you can see, I have changed some things. Like, we don't need the mouse and time. They're not even using that. I don't know why they have these here. So delete those. Make sure you set the resolution in your code. And that's not hard to do. We just have it in our callback. Anytime the frame buffer size changes, we automatically update the resolution. And we want to do it at least once because this isn't called on launch. So in our source, we do set it the very first time right here. And you got to make sure you use it before you set it, otherwise it won't work. Yeah, you just basically delete all the stuff you don't need in these. I'm not using pi, and they aren't either, so I don't know why they brought it in here. This formula is the same, this is the same, this plot worked fine. So all this code right here and right here, I didn't change, I don't think at all. I just needed to get rid of the uniforms I wasn't using, get rid of pi. And of course I'm not using this up here. This GL frag color is also an old method, or maybe it's for like mobile or something, because that doesn't work in this. If we like don't have this one and we try to go GL frag color, something went terribly wrong. Incompatible. GL frag color is depreciated after version 1.20. So yeah, there you go. It's depreciated. You'll see stuff like that, and you just got to know to do this out thing on more modern. So that's pretty important to catch. Let's do another one. Which one would be fun? I don't know. Let's do something that looks a little crazier maybe. Let's try one of these patterns. Let's just do this one here. So there we go. Looks like we just need a resolution. They're not using time, so we can probably do a pretty direct copy pasta. So all this code is not, this is really, I can go on here and get it anytime, right? So no need to like save every little thing when you're just running these demos. So I'm just going to grab all of this here, and we're just going to do a direct copy and paste, but we're going to have to clean this up a ton. Like first of all, frag color down here, frag color. And anywhere it says U resolution just needs to be this version of it. So we got to sort that out. It looks like they got something here it doesn't like. Okay, it looks like we need to define pi after all in this particular one. So let's go ahead and grab pi, and that should sort it out. Okay, and let's just see if it just runs. It does just indeed run. So you can pick through this and walk through this step by step to understand what's going on. Of course, these are all definitions of functions up here. Things that could potentially be reused. And here's their main. So they just do this little thing here. Again, some of this is unnecessary. We don't need to have XY on these, or I guess we do on the frag chord, because it has a Z and stuff. The U resolution is already an XY, so don't really need to do that. Okay, and they just they update this ST with tile and then rotate, and then they do this step on it on the last thing. Yeah, so you can walk through any of these like that and figure it out, kind of what they're doing and take away from it. All right, let's look at a few more. Okay, there's a lot of different cool stuff. Let's try this one. Go, no need to save any of this stuff. Let's update this to U resolution. Oh, I deleted too much. Okay, we just got to change a few things here. And we need frag color to be on the out here. And there you go. You can see it all. He's got a mix of dot products with random. There's just random fractal of a sign of, some little specific interesting. So it's only pseudo random. And there we go. So a lot of this stuff, if there's variables, if you want to just keep in mind with any of these, you're probably starting to see the realm of shader possibilities if you're able to grasp all this stuff and understand what I'm doing and be able to replicate what I'm doing. Because you can layer and do, the sky's the limit at some point. Of course, you can look at examples, but you can always just create your own. But using these is a great place to start to kind of get a grasp of how things work. Here's an example of one that was a bit more difficult to get to run, as there were some more compatibility things, so this one will be a good one to go over. As you can see, it's pretty cool. It actually displays characters. I don't know if you'll be able to see that on the YouTube video, but pretty neat effects here. So I went ahead and I copied all this over, right? Copied it over to my shader. And there were some pretty immediate issues. This word, they made a function called care. Care is a reserved word. So when I tried to use care, it flagged as a reserved word, thanks to this software. So I should show you this extension I'm using, because I'm just using Visual Studio, and I'm using an extension called, let me find it here, installed GLSL integration, and it seems to do pretty well. The only thing you can't do is you can't create these GLSL files from within here. So if you go in here and go to like add and try to make one, there is none. So I've just been doing it within the terminal. I really wish they would add it. So what I've just been doing is launching Windows Terminal, going to my folder where they exist, and do new item, and then just a file name. So we could do another shader. We'll just call it like background shader. We'll use this later. And there it creates. Then we can go back into Visual Studio, refresh. Might as well include it in your project if you don't like it. Then you can start opening it up and working on it. So just so you're aware, that's how I'm getting them in there easily for now. All right, so back to the shader. Care was a reserved word, so it didn't like that. Threw an error. It's kind of hard to detect, but this syntax analyzer did pick it up, so that was cool. And it threw some error in my console as well. And the other problems were, well, I just had to update these user resolutions, these U times. And this time is an accumulated time. So we'll see that it does work here. Does the thing. Pretty cool. Nice little shader effect. Great example. And they just use all these functions. Cross, box, grid, character, bin, random, random. And there's the main, so it just walks through this. And you can see he's even got him sectioned off for what he's doing. Pretty cool stuff. Alright. So that's a little more info that I feel like will be helpful. I'm just going to show you where it's setting the time here. So in our back to our main while loop here, I am accumulating the time as a static. So static only declares once. That's why it's here. And we just want to accumulate the delta time as we go forward every time. And we can pass that to our shader for functions with random or sine or cosine or anything that wants to know or have like an oscillating function. This accumulated time is great with that sort of setup. And I think they were just using it to display those numbers. Okay, but everything else is pretty much the same. Let me know if you have any questions down below. And here's yet another one we could bring in that uses a sine with the runtime to do this little effect. And I pretty much just copied all of this over, right over to here. Updated frag color. Changed these U resolution and U runtime to the ones we're using. Make sure we're setting those. Yep, you're setting U runtime. We've already set the resolution. It'll auto update. And our callback, of course, if we ever do change the size of our window. And yeah, we're all good to run that one. And there it is. So as you can see, any of these examples that you can find on the Book of Shaders, you can use, and you'll be able to find these on Shader Toy all over the place. And hopefully after going through this video and maybe through some of the previous ones, if you needed more info, you'll understand how to actually do that and get it working within your code. So I hope this really helps you guys out. And yeah, I guess we can go from there. Always give credit to the authors if you're using someone's work, or at least make a best effort to do so. I know some of these don't say anything, so you don't know exactly, but I guess you can at least always reference the website if nothing else. All right, well, let me know if you have any questions, guys. All right, I think that's going to do it for this episode. Let me know what you guys think. If you're able to get your shaders going, if this is helping, you know, I would appreciate any feedback that you would like to give, especially those thumbs up. All right, peace out, guys. See you in the next episode. A special shout out to my patrons for making episodes like this possible. If you want to help the channel out a lot, go sign up over there.